Oh man,
what got you involved in the hip hop, man?
Believe it or not, I was jealous of my older brother, Mr. Walt.
Okay.
And he was DJing. He was DJing at a block party, and I got so jealous because he was getting all the attention. It made me start DJing.
Was it the chicks? Was it the
everybody?
The word?
It was like, yo, look at Shorty, he nice. I was like, I'm better than him. No one cared. And my brother, what he did to me was, he seen how bad that I wanted it. He used to like kind of sun me like, yo, you ain't nice. I'll be DJing and push me off the equipment. So it would make me mad, and it would make me practice more on some, yo, I'm going to be nicer than him.
Your brother kind of was sunning you.
Yeah. And, you know, he made me practice harder because, you know, my whole goal was to be better than him. And I just became the machine. Like, you know, it just became just about DJing and being nice and having knowledge of music, you know. Like, you know, hip-hop is my heart, but I play everything. You know, so, and that's what happened. Like,
so when did you get the thumbs up of approval from Big Brother saying like, yo, you killing it right now?
I think it was, like, when I was younger, I did a party. And I seen the way he looked at me at the party. That look alone was like, yeah, I'm rocking right now. You know, and it's funny because on, you know, of the Beatminer DJs, he calls me the Jordan of the team. Because he's like, yo, the dude he's nice with his. You know, and it's funny because like even with my Beatminer jerseys, they all say 23 on the back.
Mm.
So, you know, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is, man. We just having fun. What a lot of people don't understand is, as a DJ, you're a producer. When you take 2 copies of that record and you're cutting up that beat and chopping it back and forth, you're producing that version of that song. So it's about taking that and emulating the DJ technique with the sampler. Like, a lot of my beats would start with me cutting up the record back and forth. And then I would listen back to it and hear how I was catching it. And that's how I chop my records. You know, and now, and you know, the thing now is, what's good is with technology, I'm not cutting up $100 record and messing it up. Now I could just copy it and cut it up in Serato and then sample the original record, you know. But that's the whole thing. Like, from there, for me cutting up records back and forth, I learned how to use a sampler from my boy Ike Lee. You know, Ike Lee. Shout out to Ike Lee. Shout out to Adam Freedom Lives. They're the first beat miners on record. They did the Papa Large remix.
Classic, classic.
So, and Ike taught me how to use a sampler, which was this thing called Studio 440. My first professional sampler. Because I had a Casio SK1, a Casio SK8, and a Casio SK100. Then I had a Yamaha joint. I forgot what it was called, but the Yamaha joint was crazy. And it sounded clear. And at the same time, I also learned, like, production-wise, battling with Bazzaro in high school. Me and crazy DJ Bazzaro in high school, we was music enemies. You know what I'm saying? We had a musical beef. We had, because, you know, he was doing music, I was doing music, and people wanted to keep us away from each other because they knew if me and him got together, the world wouldn't be the same. And, you know, the whole thing was me and Bazzaro would make battle tapes, dissing each other back and forth.
Nice.
Like, you know, he would be like, Evil D, the man who lost his head. And I'd be like, Scott Tissue. Like, you know, like, we used to diss each other, but at the same time, I had a respect for him, he had a respect for me. Because we was the only cats in our group doing what we was doing. You know, another person I have to big up is my cousin Monzie D. Monzie D taught me how to work in the studio. He's the reason why my records sound the way they sound, because he taught me levels. He taught me about volume and how to make sure, how to record things at the right volume. So, big up Monzie.
So how long you been in the game recording?
Professionally or?
Professionally.
Since 1992.
What's your favorite Beatminer track?
Wow.
Yes, I went there.
Wow.
Come on.
Okay, I'm gonna go with something that my brother did. Believe it or not, No Fear.
No Fear?
My brother murdered that, number one. And number two, me wise, Ish Is Real on the Black Moon album. I'm gonna tell you why I picked that particular track. Back then, we didn't have technology how we have now, and what I basically did was, we didn't have what this dude uses on his vocals.
Auto tune.
We didn't have
That's
auto
terrible.
tune. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have that. Like if you was a singer, you had to use this thing called the Ultra Harmonizer to tune your voice, and even that wouldn't help. I was in the studio one day messing around, and I sent the sample. I patched up the wrong patch, and the sample went through the auto tune. And when I seen I was able to tune samples, I tuned a lot of samples so they could match musically. And Ish Is Real on the Black Moon album was the album that I took that technology and went forth with it. Because if you know the samples I used, the bass line is California Soul, Marvin Gaye, Tammy Terrell.
Mm-hmm.
The horn is Love Song to Catherine by John Clemmer.
Mm.
And the keyboards is Riding High Phaso. If you listen to those records, that's not the pitch that the records are at. But I pitched them up and down so they match musically. That's why it's one of my favorite songs.
My question: what's the most memorable venue you've done that says, that was a good one?
Is a club in DJ wise
Whether
or
as Black Moon.
As Black Moon. It wasn't a venue. It was a stadium in Italy, south of Italy. And like me and Buck, I think that was one of our best shows. And I kind of feel bad because one of our best shows wasn't done with my man Five. Five was incarcerated at the time, but that was one of our best shows. Like the audience was crazy. It was like that was 99, and 20,000 people. It was crazy. Everybody reciting lyrics, and
so you don't even have to do your
stars.
track. They can do it for you.
We was rock stars that night without the ego.
No doubt.